The fact that Jojolion was said in Jojolion recently has got me thinking about how pretty much over the series, every single JoJo except for Giorno and Josuke in Part 8 has been called JoJo, or has been implied to be called JoJo at some point. And even then, for Giorno, if you count Purple Haze feedback, Fugo does call Giorno JoJo, just in this way. So really, you could say that Josuke is the only JoJo so far that has not been called JoJo in their own series. But if you want to be technical, Josuke can be seen and said as JoJo. But honestly, I'd rather just see a definitive JoJo being said in the part. Well, will we see Josuke be called JoJo in the part at some point? Or specifically, who's gonna be the one to call Josuke by JoJo? Well, so far, Jojolion seems very close to ending, like a few chapters at the least, or maybe around 10 to 15, depending on if something happens. So, a character calling Josuke by JoJo would definitely have to be a big moment to a character that would kind of accumulate a lot on the character. So really, I have two people who I think make sense to call Josuke JoJo in this part. The first character I have is fairly obvious, being Yasuho. Yasuho and Josuke are pretty much the closest characters in the part, or at least the closest character to Josuke by far. So it would make sense for Yasuho to give him a nickname. Also, for those who forgot, the reason why Josuke was even named Josuke was because he reminded Yasuho of a dog she named called Josuke, and calling him JoJo instead of Josuke would further reinstate the fact that the story is about Josuke becoming his own person, and that his background doesn't really define who he is. Well, besides the fact that Jojolion is a story about breaking a curse. So yeah, Yasuho calling Josuke would make a lot of sense, and honestly would be a great ending to their story. But there's also another character who I think would definitely fit in with calling Josuke JoJo. And it's a character who has so far barely appeared in the story, Karera. You see, Karera pretty much only appeared once and has barely done anything in the story at all. However, it would be interesting to see her call a Josuke by JoJo the next time that they meet, or just at some point in the rest of Jojolion. I feel as though this makes sense because when Karera appeared, she always called it Josuke Sechan. The reason why she called it Josuke Sechan was because it's a nickname that people give to others when they have Se in their name, or SE. And Josefume does have SE in his name. So I think at some point when Karera realizes that Josuke isn't Josefume and that he's a completely different person, it would be a good moment for Karera to give up on Josefume and just accept Josuke by calling him JoJo, completely ending the Sechan and Josefume stuff. This would be pretty nice to see, honestly, and that would mean that Karera would come back, which would be very nice. Especially since she doesn't really have to come back to die. Well, actually, Karera calling Josuke JoJo right before she dies would be pretty interesting and just really heartwarming to see, so There is another character I want to see called Josuke by JoJo, however, and that is the 15.3% of my audience who subscribe to my channel, because honestly, they're really cool. But really, besides those two, everyone else doesn't really seem that fitting to call Josuke by JoJo. Like, Joshu and Hato and all of them, they just, don't fit at all. But Flashback Man, you see, Flashback Man, we need Flashback Man in the part. And for Flashback Man to call Josuke by JoJo would show the fact that Flashback Man has been with Josuke the whole time.